What's going on, Jerome? Super Bowl went down allegedly last night, and there's a lot of things going on around the National Football League, so we're just doing a Monday NFL news dump, and let's get it on. So first up, there have been rumors swirling that Andy Reid was going to be stepping away, and then right after they won the Super Bowl, he's like, Nah, I'm in a good spot, man. Michael Silver, go. Andy Reid won't be stepping away, as he affirmed when he spoke at the Chiefs' victory party on Sunday night. Reid stepped into a different realm, blah, 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 blah. So Andy Reid, I think that he realizes that I'm in a pretty good spot. Brett Veach is a pretty damn good general manager, and I got a guy who could go down as the greatest quarterback of all time, and that's saying a lot with Tom Brady in the picture. So I understand why Andy Reid is going to be sticking around, even though the AFC is going to be tough. He's got Mahomes. He's got Kelsey in his prime for a couple more years. He's got a great offensive line. He's got Chris Jones and some fast young playmakers on defense. So I understand. I understand. I mean, Andy Reid, this is what he's prayed for. Paraphrasing Meek Mill. This is what he's been working for his entire life. So he's not going to let it go when he's at his pinnacle. And he could reel off another Super Bowl, maybe two. It's not out of the realm of possibility, so I understand why he's sticking around. Then, with Patrick Mahomes. We went over this yesterday, but it still bears repeating. So Mahomes, through 5 seasons as a starter, Field Yates pointed this out, 2 Super Bowl wins, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. That's like a lifetime worth of achievements. Like that. Hold on. So 2 Super Bowl wins, 2 regular season MVPs. That's Peyton Manning. That's Peyton Manning's entire ass career. And remember, Peyton Manning won that second Super Bowl with the Broncos. That Girona, where he was basically dragged across the finish line by that defense. Like Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware were like, hey, we got you. Remember, Brock Osweiler started 7 of those games, went 5-2. 2 Super Bowl MVP awards, 3 Super Bowl appearances, 5 AFC Championship games. Again, 0 road playoff games. 5 blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, Patrick Mahomes, I understand that people are sort of sick of him because you kind of get bored. Even though the Chiefs didn't have a lot of success, well, they won Super Bowl 4, allegedly. But then they ripped off that Super Bowl. They've been to 3 last couple of years. And I know that people start hating on success. That's why people hated Brady and the Patriots. People hated, Peyton and the Colts. Sure. Although, how can you hate Tony Dungy? Whatever. But people are bored. I get it. And maybe it's Mahomes' wife and jabroni brother. It's possible. But we're literally watching greatness because think about it. Say Mahomes plays for 10, 12 more years. Just think of all the accolades he's going to rack up and stack up. Insane. Absolutely bat bleep insane, man. And then on the controversial call where having that penalty basically allowing the Chiefs to run out the clock and kick the field goal, where if they would have had to kick the field goal, I mean, they probably would have made it, but the Eagles would have had time to march down and potentially force overtime. Sort of is what it is. So James Bradbury, Eagles cornerback, who got called for defensive holding on Juju, after the game, he said it was holding. I tugged his jersey. I was hoping they would let it slide. So a lot of people picked that up and ran with it, which is fine. I think that's more Bradbury taking ownership of the moment. And even though I dislike the Eagles, I do respect the way, well, first off, I love Jalen Hurts. Eagles, whatever. Sirianni, whatever. But I do respect how they took ownership of the situation. They didn't blame circumstance, and it's something to respect. And Bradbury, I think, was just taking ownership of the situation. But it's a spot where this happens on every single play. I don't think it was egregious. I think, and how some of the officiating experts have said that they would have let this one go. And I don't even think that, a lot of people make the case that it was at a high leverage spot of the game, big time call. I mean, if this is in the middle of the second quarter, I think you let this one go too. Like, it wasn't egregious. Like, it wasn't at all. So I don't know, but it's whatever. It really sucks that that hell of a game came down to this one play, essentially. So it's whatever. And then you got Eagles fans celebrating. And so you see these all the time, right? After a loss, you have the alleged losing fans just breaking TVs and stuff. This is always fake. Like, it's never legit. It's always staged. It's always, oh, hey, let's run it back. Let's rewatch this and destroy this TV that we're going to get rid of anyway. And so I'm not buying this at all. And also the fact that this TV. So this looks like a 55-inch TV, and it was just sitting on top of the mantle. You're not going to have that. Like, you're at least going to have it bracketed in or in some fashion attached to the wall. Like, you're not just going to let this thing free ball on top of a mantle like that. You ain't going to do that. So that's number one. Number two, so there was like fake fights in there. No, like if someone was going down, it's going down for real. And also, everyone had their phone out, so baloney. Yeah, I call BS on that, man. And then, so a big talking point was the turf, where players are slipping and sliding. A lot of players mentioned that it was not great out there. And what's absolutely insane. So this tweet came from a couple days before the Super Bowl. The NFL spent 2 years preparing the grass for tonight's field at the Super Bowl. The grass was grown at a local sod farm in Phoenix. It was installed 2 weeks ago, and the field has been rolled out each morning for daily sunshine. Total cost $800,000. And Oklahoma State actually developed this grass. It's like a golf grass. And you know what's really stupid? Testing an unproven playing surface in your biggest game. Like, this seems like something that you should do for the preseason or like the Hall of Fame game. It's completely ridiculous, but there's a conspiracy theory. So a lot of players had complained about artificial playing surfaces, this year. Even though field turf has come a long way versus AstroTurf, it's not the same. And you see a lot of non-contact injuries, especially a lot of ACLs. It's just no good, man. But just have a grass surface that is so bad that everyone forgets the artificial turf debate. Man. But it's so stupid. Like, the turf and the officiating is what really sucks, that is overshadowing a fantastic game. So the Eagles potentially going to lose both of their coordinators. And this is what happens when you have a modicum of success. Teams are going to be poaching your coaching staff, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, hell, if Brian Flores gets a head coaching job next offseason, that means that he probably turned around the Vikings defense, and I'm okay with that. But Schefter reporting that Eagles OC Shane Steichen is scheduled to fly to Indianapolis this afternoon, where he's expected to finalize his deal to become the Colts' next head coach, per source. Now, it's funny that... So Frank Reich was hired as the Colts head coach. He was the Eagles OC under Doug Peterson. And then Nick Sirianni was the Colts OC under Frank Reich. And then he was hired to become the Eagles head coach. And now the Colts are going back to the well, hiring the Eagles OC Shane Steichen, which is funny. It just goes back and forth. So whoever Steichen's OC is going to be the next Eagles head coach. We're in, man. And also Eagles DC Jonathan Gannon, who had been a low-level assistant for the Vikings for a number of years and also interviewed for the head coaching job last offseason. Jonathan Gannon is expected to interview today for the Cardinals head coaching job, per sources. He's also seen as a favorite to land that gig. So, I don't know, like, Eagles are going to have to reload on both coordinator fronts. Gannon's inheriting sort of a mess. Like, Kyler is Kyler, and also he's injured. That defense needs to be torn down and rebuilt. The offense is garbaggio. I mean, the Cardinals are going to be bad for a while. Where the Colts are positioned with the number 4 pick, where they can get their future franchise quarterback. That has to really entice Steichen. And I think that they're not as far away as people may think. I think the Colts are a decent football team. I respect Chris Ballard as a general manager, but we'll see. And then, speaking of quarterbacks, Rap sheet. Raiders quarterback Derek Carr has informed the team he won't accept a trade to the Saints or any other team. The team is expected to release him, and he'll be a top free agent. So he does have a no-trade clause. Again, no trade clause doesn't mean that the player cannot be traded. It means that they have veto power over wherever you send them. And if you have a no-trade clause, it makes sense to enforce it because, hey, if you're going to cut me anyways, why would I go to a team that gives up draft capital, which takes away from my weapons, both on offense and defense, when I can just be like, no, and then sign a deal in free agency? It's whatever. But his $40 million and change base salary is going to be due at some point in February. So it's sort of an S or get off the pot situation. I think the Raiders are just going to cut him, and he'll be able to shop around in free agency. And what's interesting is that the Jets hired Todd Downing as their new passing game coordinator right after they hired Nathaniel Hackett. So they're loading up on that offensive side of the ball. Basically, they want to cover as many bases as possible for free agent quarterbacks or quarterbacks potentially arriving via trade. Rap sheet, the Jets not only help their offensive staff, but now can be linked to another potentially available quarterback this offseason. Hackett, Rodgers, Downing, Tannehill, and Derek Carr. I mean, that would be such a Jets thing just to get Tannehill. I mean, you used to play him twice a year, bro. Come on. Derek Carr could make some sense there. And, of course, Rob Salah, him and Jimmy G. were in San Francisco for a number of seasons. So I don't know. Like, I mean, this sort of makes sense. Like, I think Derek Carr is fine. I think this season was an absolute disaster, but it's sort of whatever. And, Todd Downing does have experience with Derek Carr back with the Raiders days. Downing, formerly coach at Eden Prairie, also spent a couple seasons on staff with the Vikings. Last year, he was the OC of the Titans before being fired. So who knows what happens there. Whatever. But that's it. That's the Monday NFL news dump. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.